My dear friends, in the worldwide calendar, it would be St. Martin de Porres, who was very popular in Ireland. In this particular area, it is St. Malachy or Armagh. It is actually a feast. He died unexpectedly while on the way to Rome to see the Holy Father. He died in the great abbey of Clairvaux. And remember that he had been the instrument of Providence in bringing the Cistercians to Ireland, actually not far from where my hermitage is, Malachy. He died, and it was St. Bernard, the abbot, who gave the sermon at his burial, the one that the church reads at Matins on this day. And he was buried in front of the high altar in 1148. Only 5 years later, in 1153, St. Bernard followed him and was buried in the same tomb. Two very beautiful souls, taking with them their baggage of merit into all eternity. St. Martin de Porres also was a very different soul, but a very beautiful soul. He was mimetic, he was half and half in his blood, and he did not reach holy orders, but was a saint with the Dominicans as a lay brother. And he was known to be a saint, because out of him emanated goodness which attracted like a magnet, and which still did in Ireland and in many countries until very recently, where he was amongst the most popular of the saints. I had a friend when I was growing up in Wales, like some of yourselves, but of the senior generation, a hidden woman, a hidden gem. And one day I was visiting her and she told me this story, which to this day the person concerned does not know, unless perhaps he knows it by now in heaven. It was one of her neighbours who was not at all a Catholic. He was actually not just a Protestant, but quite an extreme form of them, the Salvation Army. And he was knocked down in a very severe accident down the road in Cowbridge Road, one of the main roads of Cardiff, near where we lived. There was little hope that he would survive. She, however, had her own artillery and means of action, and she bombarded heaven via this, her favourite saint, and he did not have a moment's rest, the favourite saint in question, Martin de Porres. The man woke up from his coma and said, I had a very strange experience. I saw this man sort of colour in his skin, wearing white with a black thing over it, and he took my hand and pulled me up. And look, I'm back again. But because she was very delicate, she never told him what that meant, and so he went through life not knowing who or what to thank. But we know, don't we? That is one end of the scale, sanctity, both recognized and canonized, and that hidden and not in this world canonized or recognized. But there are two other levels of being as well. There is that in which we are engaged, I would say, the majority on the way in via, trying our best but not always succeeding, and therefore going from sin to imperfection, even to serious sin, whatever it might be, but hoping to get there in the end, going through precisely that stage which is purgatory, of which we think in this month of November. And by the way, I'm offering the Holy Sacrifice for your deceased, so plug in. The other is the stage of how many people do not know, we have the inkling that it is perhaps greater in our day than ever before. Those who, with the fundamental option of their soul, refuse all good. And at a certain point, get to that point where grace has no hope of getting through. There is a coarseness, a harshness, a refusal, a hardness to any good, and the whole comportment of such a soul is symptomatic of being in league with the powers that want the harm of the soul, mortal sin, the death of the soul, in which state one goes into the beyond like a dart against the Godhead, aiming in the wrong direction and going on in the same direction forever and ever and ever. I want today for a few minutes to go on two specific questions which concern Ireland. The first is the being in league with the demonic powers through one specific sin, that of cursing. Now in Ireland, people go to confession and say, I cursed Father, and they might have been that a number of times. Well, that's not at all to be encouraged, but I'm talking about cursing in the formal sense, the sense of launching a curse. And don't think it's not there. I have quite a lot to do with people of the travelling community who come and ask for prayer and blessing, and very, very often this issue is there. Father, someone caused us this through a curse, and they will tell you how and when. And the devil comes in, and they will not have good luck until it's lifted. Just the other day, I picked this up, and it's the case of a famous exorcism in the United States, a good many years ago now. But if you do come across this, it's worth reading. It's called Big on Satan. It's come back into print. It was in 1928, and it was a very long affair. The demons were very much emasculated in this poor soul. It turned out that a curse was at the origin. The father, before dying, I think he actually wanted to get involved with incest, abuse of his girl, and when she refused, before dying, he launched this curse. Now, not only did he lose his soul, he actually did go to confession, I think, but he made a sort of mockery of it, and that cost him his soul. But he also, and listen to this, it's quite scary, himself, from the beyond, got into the possession itself. As a human demon, they found that he was in the soul of the daughter, and he started to speak. Now, in this exorcism, in which all the dialogue has been recorded, it's a long affair, it's not just one, it's many, many sessions. This comes out. The power of a curse is something quite atrocious. The devil does cling to a word in which he's invoked, and he will do his utmost to harm. The other issue I want to attack is this. Again, it's those who consent to the inspirations and nudgings of the powers of the underworld in one specific sin, which priests are very loath to discuss in the pulpit, because usually there will be somebody present who will be part of the pain of the situation. But do you see how that leads to an increase of the problem? It's cyclic. When people beatify someone who's committed suicide by saying he's a hero and all the rest of it, it gives a bad message to other young people in particular. And just the other day, a young girl of 13 committed suicide because of what? Bullying on Facebook. 12 or 24 hours before, she'd given the signal, I'm going to kill myself, and she did. In this same exorcism, they could hear a strange, raucous voice amongst the other demons. And who is this demon? A deep, rough voice announced itself, which had already been noticed alongside the voice of Beelzebub. Are you the unfortunate father who has cursed his own child? No. Who are you then? I am Judas. What? Judas? Are you Judas Iscariot, the former apostle? Yes, I am the one. This was howled in the deepest bass voice. It set the whole room a-quivering, so that out of pure fright and horror, the pastor and some of the nuns ran out. Then followed a disgusting exhibition of spitting and vomiting, as if Judas were intending to spit at his Lord and Master with all his might, or as if he had in mind to unloose his inner waste and filth upon him. What business have you here? To bring her to despair, so that she will commit suicide and hang herself. She must get the road. She must go to hell. Is it then a fact that everyone who commits suicide goes to hell? Rather not. Why not? We devils are the ones that urge them to commit suicide, to hang themselves, just as I did myself. Do you not regret that you have committed such a despicable deed? A terrible curse followed. Let me alone! Don't bother me with your fake God. It was my own fault. Then he kept on raving in a terrible manner. The other day, Pat, who's helping now at the altar, passed this on to me. It's the other end. The apostles and martyrs, who in their innings on earth did the utmost and conquered heaven with the same instruments, under torture and rack of which this speaks in the first person. Someone got away from the Tower of London with his mangled limbs, and who celebrated the sacred mysteries in the Tower of London, a few inches from those who were torturing them, unbeknown to them. That was what the Mass meant to ease. I finish, my friends. We have before us and behind us a great cloud of witnesses, but we also have a great cloud of demons. We're on the front line of the battle, and Ireland right now, as a nation, is under fire. The devil wants this last crown of Catholic Ireland, this last jewel in his own diadem. If we're not careful,